The Dallas Mavericks and the Boston Celtics are about to face off in the NBA Finals, and I think we can all agree that no matter who wins this series, it will be interesting. Kyrie Irving is returning to Boston, the place where he's not exactly welcomed with open arms.
Playing part-time, now full-time.
And sitting at the top of both teams are two young premier talents of the league, Luka Doncic and Jason Tatum. This is just the third finals appearance for the Dallas Mavericks and the 23rd appearance for the Boston Celtics. And of course, 2024 will be the first time these two teams match up in the finals. So I guess you could say there's some history being made. In the regular season, the Celtics won both matchups, including a 28-point blowout. However, the first matchup occurred before the PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford trades, which we all know transformed the Mavericks into a completely different team. And the second matchup occurred when the Mavericks were still trying to gel as a newly assembled group. I mean, Derrick Jones Jr. and Daniel Gafford, who are extremely important role players, only got a combined total of 13 minutes in the 28-point blowout. So as far as this season goes, the biggest things we can take away are the things we already know. The Celtics are a dangerous team with loads of talent capable of generating high-caliber offense and elite defense, and the playoffs showed exactly that. But I will say the Celtics didn't necessarily have the most difficult path to the finals, facing three teams without their best player, and none of those teams even reaching 50 wins. But then again, they did earn the number one seed and they were rewarded with the best matchups, so it's understandable. On the flip side, we've seen this Dallas Mavericks team transform from just another middle-of-the-pack team with realistically no true shot at a title into a team that made the NBA Finals, going through not one, not two, but three 50-plus win teams, the first time it has been done since the 2010 Lakers. A playoff run with opponents of that caliber definitely can make a team stronger in the process, and I think it all started with Luka and Kyrie. Both of these superstar guards have never been considered great defenders, but throughout each round of the playoffs, they were forced to become better. Facing guys like James Harden, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Anthony Edwards tested their defense, and I think they've both made significant improvements. Now, I'm not saying they were the primary defenders on them or anything, but in certain situations, they performed well above their normal status. Adding in the improved defense of the Dallas backcourt alongside the already vastly enhanced overall team defense changes everything. And on the offensive end, we already know what the Kyrie-Luka combo can do. They've torn apart the number one defense in the league, making them look like the Detroit Pistons. So generally speaking, we know both of these teams are capable of locking in defensively and offensively, but the X factors are always worth noting. This is the area where the Celtics just become complete overkill because their X factors are basically borderline all-stars. Derek White, Drew Holiday, and Kristaps Porzingis are each capable of dropping 20 plus on any given night. And not only can they all score, they can all defend at a high level. And with their overall two-way abilities aside, the most dangerous thing about them is their three-point shooting ability. All five Celtics on the floor being able to shoot from the outside gives the Mavericks a situation they really haven't been in all playoffs, or at least not at this level. The maximum spacing of a 5-out offense opens up potential drives, kicks, and open shots. And when the Celtics get hot, it's nearly impossible to cool them down. But then again, the Mavericks have been through so much these playoffs, adapting to various offenses and defenses, coming up with the perfect counter strategies every time. Obviously, strategizing for the Celtics is a significantly harder task, but it's still possible, especially with the improvements of the Dallas X Factors. Derrick Jones Jr. and PJ Washington had emerged as reliable support pieces around Luka and Kyrie in the OKC series. PJ recording 3 games with over 20 points and Derrick Jones Jr. notching 2 consecutive games with 19 plus points. Not only were these two wings scoring, but they also served as capable perimeter defenders, which is definitely going to be needed against a team like the Celtics. In addition to the wings, Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford have become elite rim protectors and lob threats for Luka and Kyrie. They have essentially made the pick and roll game with either of the superstar backcourt impossible to stop, no matter who the defenders are. I mean, the Timberwolves had the Defensive Player of the Year and second team All-Defense Jaden McDaniels trying to stop it, and they couldn't have been further from that. However, part of the reason pick and roll actions were so effective against Minnesota was because they can't switch everything and live with the matchup. For example, Luka getting a switch with Rudy Gobert is free points.
Doncic maneuvers for the lead. Got it! What a shot!
But the Celtics will have a better shot at that as they have multiple guys that are around the same size and defensive skill generally speaking. But at the end of the day, I think the finals is where superstar players show the world just how super they are. We all expect Tatum, Brown, Luka, and Kyrie to perform to their normal standards, possibly slightly higher. But in my opinion, the best player on the floor is Luka Doncic if he's playing like Luka Doncic. We've seen the best player on the floor take over a game and will their team to a win, despite what the opposing team was doing. For example, Steph Curry's 43-point Game 4 against the Celtics. I think Luka Doncic has the ability to have that type of game, especially because he will be coming off a week of rest. Remember, he's been injured for basically the entire playoffs. But regardless, I still think the Celtics are the favorites to win this series by far. I mean, they were the best team in the NBA record-wise, they have the number 1 offense in the league and the number 2 defense. They're a complete team with lots of depth and loads of dangerous weapons at their disposal. But I'm not counting the Mavericks out. For about the last 20 games of the season, the Mavericks were the number 1 defense, so they've proven they can hold their own defensively too. And the Luka-Kyrie backcourt duo is ridiculously talented offensively. Some key things to note is that in the Pacers series, if Indiana wasn't such a stupid and horrendous clutch time team, the Celtics realistically would have been down 3-1. The only reason it wasn't was because the Celtics are far better in clutch time. But that won't be the case against the Mavs because they are backed by the 2 best closers in the league. And they've shown it throughout the playoffs, specifically in the Timberwolves series. And the coaching of Jason Kidd and the rest of the Mavericks staff has been phenomenal. I think because of the opponents they've gone up against, their coaching was truly tested and it made them better in the long run. Joe Mazzulla really hasn't been tested as he could often rely on just the talent of his team to win games. Finally, Tim Hardaway Jr. once again continues to be a gigantic question mark for the Mavs. I think if he's consistently hitting shots and providing an offensive spark off the bench, the Mavs offense becomes almost unguardable. I still believe he's capable even though he hasn't been showing it as of late. But with everything else aside, the stars will be stars at the end of the day, and I think it will ultimately come down to who is the better team. But who do you guys think is taking home the chip? And how many games do you think it will take? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.